Hello everybody, I'm Giuseppe Basili, also known as the FibStalker. Thanks for joining for this part 2 of today's daily and intraday review. Today is February the 20th, 2018, and this is part of the FibStalker analysis and trading service. Thanks for joining. As usual, if you have not read and accepted the disclaimer, please do it now. Pause this video and read and accept the disclaimer. Past performance is not indicative of future results, and trading for Forex carries a high level of risk and may not be suitable for all investors. Alright, so let's go to our markets here, and I'm going to start from the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. This market has traded the 50% low 97.93, and as we mentioned in the last few weeks, there was a potential for this market to go back to 99.63, which is being tested at the moment. As you can see here on the smaller time frame, the 4-hour time frame here, due to this this move, this spike here, this market has not been very technical. The last measure move, a traditional measure move we can identify, is from lows to highs, and that's what is trading at the moment, bringing price into 99.91. Okay, and we could also have here a busted setup, a case for a busted setup, and in that case we can see that the market has traded and is traded right now into that second target. Okay, so we could see some profit taking around this level. Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, it's on his move lower here. You remember that on the larger time frame we had these highs to lows. I traded twice and fine participation. This market is extended, it has the possibility to move lower into 81.86. Now the extension short that we are looking at, it's a lows to lows. That's a long way, but it could be retested here, and if that happens, that would become a great opportunity. Of course, there are, on the smaller time frame, there are other anchors that could come into play. Okay, this market has also traded the 50% here, so the next measure move would be the highs to lows, and that's what we could see on the 4-hour time frame, also playing out as a potential resistance if the market makes it there. All right, Euro, Australian dollar, this market is being pushed lower by strengthening Australian dollar and weakness in the euro, and we saw this market correcting lower here on the 4-hour, and it's now hit that support again, and as you can see, it's finding support at this level as it happened in the past. We're gonna see whether this is gonna hold or not. It's possible this is a second test. It's possible this market is going to break this level. In that case, the next level of support will only come at 154.88. okay, so there's also possibility for continuation lower here in this market, and we look at the sequence of measure move here that we can identify or attempt to identify. The 57.10, although has not traded, so the really the levels are extensions here in this market. So let's have a better look here, and this market is trading in extensions here, lows to lows. First target hit, the second target is below, has not been hit yet, so the market could continue to the level and eventually also break the 155.94 and then come back and continue its move lower. Euro pound has had a big move, a relatively big move lower, as we mentioned in the past sessions. This market is below resistance and it's moving laterally here. It's going from the high of the range to the low. At some point it's going to break. We don't know when that is going to be. When we look at this past move here, we can look at the highs to lows, and that's what's traded, and it's gonna get into 89, 87.99. Now, the reason why this market is not that technical is because it's moving within this area of consolidation and congestion here. So there are many more. It's much more participation that is not technical participation from algorithms, and that helps producing the jagged price. In any case, the 90.24 it's in play, and that's pushing the price lower. Euro Canadian dollar, this market has continued higher here, and the last 3 days you've seen that consolidation that could bring price into the 55.10. Okay, so the 50% here that has traded on the 4 hour was the highs to lows, and this is being retested, and we will see whether this is going to hold or not. The first target is 55.22. Euro Japanese yen. Euro Japanese yen is has moved lower here, printed a lower low on the weekly here, and it's now correcting to find its next measure move. In yesterday's review, we identified 132.78 as a potential level of resistance, and that's still there. Holding has not been tested yet, so that's the level we're going to watch for another retest. When we mentioned that this level was pierced, but it doesn't mean that could not hold going forward, and that's a valid level, also considering how weak this correction has been so far. Euro New Zealand dollar, this market has a 50% short weekly level, the 170.03, which is pushing price lower and could push price into 162.89 and 160. So this market has continued moving here in a lower, and it has traded during the Asian session. It has traded the lows to lows here, and this is this is still this move is still going here, and it's pushing price into that first target 67.30. It could continue lower, in which case you're going to capture extension from lows to lows 166.68 if the price gets into that level. Pound versus Australian dollar. Pound versus Australian dollar has seen a quick move yesterday, and then a brisk move higher on the strength of pound, and kind of attempted recovery of the Australian dollar, but versus the US dollar. We'll see whether that continues. This market is you remember that we mentioned that the whole sequence in this market has failed. Okay, so this market is kind of it has traded the opposing short 177.87. It might retest that level, but at the moment we're still looking for a continuation of the shorts here, and there's a 50% that could come into play. Has not been tested yet, but this is also a range, so the market could just continue lower into 71.35. So we'll see whether this move, that previous level, the 50% short, will 177.87 will keep offering resistance in this market. Pound versus New Zealand dollar, similar situation here, much less technical market. In fact, this market is featuring a sideways, and it could go higher to 192.27. That's where we could see this market moving to. The on the smaller time frame, we see very little because of this big move here. There's not really a lot of structure. So 192.27. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna trace a 50% from highs to lows, and this is a level that we have to look for, and it's 191.83, so kind of very close to that 192.27, so price could come into this area and then stop there also, because still moving laterally here. Is it doing it on top of a valid 50%? Okay, and which has traded, so the bias for this market is on the upside. We could see that sideways condition to be resolved on the upside. Okay, the extension along in the pound or Canadian dollar is still in play here, as we can see, and we mentioned that this market could come back and retest this level, but the 73.18 here, or 33, if we look at the weekly time frame, is still in play, and there are targets above 177.70 area, 80 area here are targets for the inner measure move, and the outer measure move, the 168.30 area. On the smaller time frame, we show a 50% here trade, and when we look at the sequence here, the spike that we had here is not allowing to trace a clear sequence in this market that is not as technical as other market. I mean, New Zealand dollar, it's pretty pound and CAD in relation to other pairs are currencies are not do not have major exchanges, and that's the reason why we see that. So we're gonna stick with an inner level that a 50% here that best captures what's going on here. We could also use an initial extension on the 4 hour here, actually on the daily, and that's what probably best describes this price. So the first target has been hit, and the second target it's on the way here, helping price into that 177.60 to 80 area. Pound versus Japanese yen is also recovering in here, and is now responding to that next 149 150 level here. So we're gonna see higher prices here in this market, and we'll see where this market stops. There is always a daily extension shot from lows to new lows, and that's the next level we're going to watch. The initial move here on the 4 hour time frame has been from lows to highs, and as you can see here is being held. So we had a map for that move higher into first and second target. If we hits the first, use traditionally. If it's the second, we use extensions. And next is the New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, also moving higher and keeps challenging that area of support there. The market never came to trade the next measured move here. So sorry, the area I was mentioning here, it's a short bear area here, but this market has traded the 90.16 first target hit within that area. The second target is above that area, and this market never came back to test the next measured move. Okay, so keeps moving in extensions, and there's an aggressive move here that we can trace, and that's the one that is likely supporting price here. This level an inner move will give us the map higher for this market. Australian dollar, Swiss franc, this market is also correcting. You remember that we are still looking for a retest of 74.84, and this market might be just preparing for that. So this could be the, a reversal here into the next extension short on the weekly 74.46. That's what we see here. There is also an inner daily extension short 74.04 that could come and is likely to come into play this week. Australian dollar, Japanese yen. This market is also reversing here on strength on the Japanese yen. Weakness on the Japanese yen against the US dollar and generally all over the board here. And 85.49 is the level to watch. The first move here has not been as technical as we would like, but this is this is typically in reversals as well, but still gives us 85.24 and 85.83 as targets level. Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, the move higher has ended, the move lower has started, and this market hit that first target and now has the potential to continue lower here. And for now we are seeing this reaction higher, and I'm going to look at two levels here. The highs to lows, traditional measured move here, and that has not tested yet, and there is another level that was tested at the Asian Open and during the European session, and that's what the market is reacting to. We need to see if that level is going to hold. That level gave, it's 50% that gave a risk-free trade here. The Canadian dollar, Japanese yen, Canadian dollar, Swiss franc is the next market here, and this market has tested that 50%. And it's now reacting off it. So what I'm gonna do, we're gonna keep the extension short here as the next level to be tested by this market, and we will see whether this market can make it into that level. So the sequence here on top of this. The sequence on top of this area here is broken, and that's a confirmation of participation in these 50%. Okay, so we could now see a continuation higher into 75.51. Euro, Swiss franc. This market also has traded an extension and now confirmed an extension long. So let's see where this takes us. The shorts have traded after and held at 115.77 after the longs have traded, so that's a sign of strength from bears. But now that level is going to be retested twice, and that test now might fail. So the smaller time frame also is joining in the larger to support higher prices here, and the 115.15 has held, tested first, then dipped into the area, and then it's now working 116.17, 116.70. Okay, the pound versus Swiss franc has been reacting strongly here. We were looking for that extension short to hold. The market temporarily stopped around that level, and then it continued higher. So now the next measure move that we're going to consider is the highs to lows. That's what we're going to look for now, and that's the 130.02 level, and we will see what happens there on this strong move higher on pound recovering. In the meantime, the euro is not recovering as strongly as the pound there, and we will see what happens next. New Zealand dollar Swiss franc has pierced the extension short here marginally, but that's enough, and then this is going to keep pushing price higher here. At this point we're going to use the 50% short 69.15. Let's always keep an eye on what's going on in this market. It's moving laterally and it reached the bottom of that range. However, on a much larger, on a monthly time frame, this market could also come back and retest the 65 level. So let's see if this is a range. The 50% 69.15 should not hold. However, we are likely to see some sort of participation there. Should be strong enough to actually offer a risk-free trade as well in this market. And finally, New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen. A similar situation here. This is a market is moving laterally on a large time frame, and now bears have failed, bulls have failed, so still moving within these 78.83 to 79.80 area here, and this could offer maybe a couple of profitable trades here on the 4-hour time frame. The 50% here 78.28 has traded already into likely to push price into 79.22 and 79.70. Okay, so this is it for the second part. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the room. Trade safe and be careful. Now we are in a transitional phase. We're seeing this market not continuing but failing, and the dollar index potentially attempting bottom here, in which case if that happens, then we're gonna see a new set of trends in these markets, which is always welcome because that's where the money is, and also the money is on the larger time frames. Okay, so thank you very much and have a great day. Bye bye now.